just a simple man working on the land.
Practical applications. We'll get into this in a second, excuse me. Okay, just water, I swear there's no booze in here tonight. The practical applications of being a prepper. What can you really accomplish? For me, it comes down to what can I really carry? I'm about to find out very soon. I'm getting kind of closer to the end of the equipment that I want to have. And one of the last things that I'm still hemming and hawing over, especially because it's such an incredible expense that I'm willing to spend the money on, is my pack. I've got enough equipment to last me till the end of days, and I don't have anything to put it in right now. Shh, don't tell anybody. I don't have a pack right now. The top of my list right now, I will say, is the Eberly stock battleship, the V90 battleship. But there are some issues I have with it, so I haven't made up my final decision yet. But that's beside the point. I have all of my equipment. I have a London Bridge company or London Bridge Trading Company loadout bag. They make like third party gear for like military stuff like that. Good stuff. And I found an incredible deal. I got this loadout bag. I swear I am not joking when I tell you that you could easily fit an adolescent child in this bag without having to dismember them. You could literally just open it up and say, hey, crawl in there, and just zip it shut. This thing is freaking huge. It's standing on end against a wall. And it probably, if I stand next to it while it's on end, it actually comes up to like here. About here on me. 5'11". It's a big bag, and it is packed. All my stuff is in there. It's just for somewhere to put it. This thing is freaking heavy. So I started making these I started thinking to myself, I'm like, practical considerations. I'm like, okay, I got this inch bag. Am I going to be able to carry this damn thing? I'm going to find this out soon enough. I don't know, but we'll see. So that's a big thing. What can you really carry with you if your plan is to leave and to get out of town? You know, lots of little things to consider. Like if say you're part of a big family. A lot of people out there have huge families. They have adults have their grown adults living with them, maybe for healthcare issues, things like that. Maybe you've got small kids at home. They're young kids, infants, babies. That's going to affect your plans. You can say, well, oh, it's just me and my wife and my 15-year-old. We can get out of town. And that's been your plan for all along. If something happens, we've all got bucket bags, we're going to leave. And then next thing you know, mom's health starts deteriorating and she needs to move in with you because you can't afford a nursing home. And now you're caring for mom at home. You need to completely rethink your entire preparedness plan because of that. And that's just one example. It can be lots of things. Maybe you're preparing and you have health problems. I don't work on the streets anymore because I got a horrible back injury. So I need to consider the fact that if this bag that I'm going to carry, that's sitting right over here in the corner, is that heavy, am I going to break myself trying to get out of town? I'm going to have to figure these things out, and this is part of my process that I'm still going through that I haven't necessarily figured out yet. Can you afford your entire plan? Some people plan like above and beyond. I'm getting this. I want all these toys. I want to do all this stuff. And you may just not have the resources or the money to do it. Consider that. Medical concerns, like I said, like things with the back, whatever they are. Here's a big one for you. I mean, this are things I think of because I'm in the medical field. And like end of days scenarios. I'll just bring up one example. Diabetics. If you're a diabetic, I'm sure you've thought of this. So a lot of people have chronic illnesses, or illnesses that, life is better, it's managed well, things like that with medication. But if they don't have it, things will be crappy, but you'll still be alive. Diabetics don't have that. And to that degree, it's not even like you can stock up. It's not about pills. If you're an insulin controlled diabetic and you have to have insulin to inject, that also needs to be stored in certain environmental requirements, cooler areas, refrigerated, things like that. The world comes to an end and there's no electricity left and there's no refrigeration. What's going to happen? I'm going to stop that little discussion right there. Just think about it. Let's talk about where my preparedness starts to kind of take a turn and veers towards what's appropriate for me. Longevity. Longevity in reference to essentially the equipment that you carry and what you're going to use and what you're going to bring with you. So like I said, I'm planning, not that I'm planning for, but I'm going to be prepared for the absolute worst case scenario that there is. The worst that can possibly happen. So essentially, let's just simplify and say that essentially I'm going to have everything with me. So I want to start looking at the items that are going to last the longest. If I were just considering making a 72-hour bag, I wouldn't mind buying something that was plastic. If it broke in a couple of days or something like that, or was considered disposable, I wouldn't worry about it because I know I'm going to be home. I know I'm going to get home again. I know I'm going to be back to my house. I know I'm going to be able, whether it's in a couple of weeks or months or something like that, I know I'm going to be able to get back on the internet and buy another one. I'm not preparing for that. I'm preparing that whatever's in that backpack over there, well, what will be a backpack, whatever's in that bag over there, that is all I'm ever going to have again for the rest of my life. That's my mentality of what I decide that I'm going to pack out with me. So just general concepts. There's like nothing in there that's plastic. Virtually nothing in there that's plastic, unless it's something that's non-essential enough that I can do without it if it breaks. Plastic breaks, metal doesn't. I'm not going to carry a plastic Nalgene bottle. I'm bringing my Gaia Designs metal. Even in my everyday life, this isn't going with me, but steel sig bottle. Why? Because it lasts. Plastic bottles break, metal bottles don't. That's all there is to it. There's a million other reasons. Go back to that Six Sigma video we talked about a little while ago, and you'll see what I'm talking about. It's a great example. So along with this is this big concept, and a lot of people are going to be like, what? Other than a couple of items that I have made the concession that I know will be temporary, and I'm willing to make that concession with a few items, as a general rule, I will not carry anything with me that requires batteries or electricity. In the worst case scenario, the batteries will die, the electricity will not be there, and any of those devices that you have brought, you have to think that if you put them in that bag, you've become dependent on them. If the power to run them is not dependable, they've become useless. Flashlights, GPS, cell phones, all these things, once the power runs out, it's a brick. You're carrying dead weight. And if you've decided that it's going to be part of your system for whatever purposes, let's say you're bringing bringing a Kindle with. This is the big thing. You're bringing a Kindle with you, and you're going to store all your prepper books on your Kindle. Great concept. I'm a fan of it. I think it's a great idea in and of itself. For me, it doesn't work because as soon as the battery dies on that Kindle, all those books are gone. You might as well have never owned them, never read them, pretending they never existed. GPS. Once the battery in that GPS dies, you're going to be lost forever. So instead of a GPS, I'm actually waiting right now. It's in the mail, hopefully on its way here. A very nice high-end Brunton compass, the OSS 70, I think it is. And I am currently looking at finding resources to. I understand basic concepts of map reading and navigation, a very pretty basic level. I want to get better at it, so that's another skill that I'm planning on acquiring. A compass, it's magnets, it's magnetism. It's never going to go away. A GPS will fail, and if you depend on a GPS and you don't know anything else and that fails, you're done. You're wiped out. Nothing with batteries. Nothing requires electricity. The only compromise to that possibly is if you want to work on solar to charge things, but personally I don't want to count on it. And the only other considerations I would make, and I'm trying to find things, is the is trying to blank Faraday, Faraday technology. Not the Faraday cage. Everybody knows a Faraday cage for protecting against EMP and electrical impulses and things like that. I'm talking about Faraday charging. You ever see a flashlight? You see like the Eton rescue radios, emergency radios. American Red Cross puts them out. They have the crank on the back. It's a Faraday crank. You're generating your own electricity. I would consider that. The only problem is that the only things that really need that are maybe a radio and light. I've been looking, man. There are no lights, but lights I mean like flashlights, lanterns, anything like that, that have the Faraday technology that are built to any kind of quality whatsoever. They're all crap. They're plastic. They're made in China. They're disgusting. I haven't found a good alternative. Just haven't found it. So understand those things. This is what I'm planning for. This might not apply to you. It might not apply to most people. But think about that first. Think about if I bring something electronic with me, am I going to be able to use it? Is it going to be wiped out? Is it going to be useless? And if it becomes useless, how screwed am I? Think about that. Multi-use, multi-purpose. Again, I reference Dave Canterbury, and who basically says anything that I'm going to take with me, anything that I'm going to expend calories to carry, utilize, you better serve at least 3 functions. Multi-use, multi-purpose. I do the best I can to stick with that. So there are some things that are just not. There are some things that I've decided to carry that they just are what they are. They serve that one purpose. There's nothing else that serves that purpose. There's a couple things like that. But otherwise, try and focus on getting things that are multifunctional. One, it's financially, it's a better gain. 2, weight-wise, now you're not carrying. If you find something that performs this task, and this task, now I don't need to carry this item, and this item. I only need to carry that one item. Cuts down on weight, cuts down on calories, cuts down on space in the pack, cuts down on things that can break, etc., etc. So like I wrote down a couple examples so you have an idea what I'm talking about. A signal mirror. I have a signal mirror in my EDC kit. I bought one of those, rescue signal mirrors with the aimer in the center. Well, now I don't pack a mirror in my toiletries bag. If I'm out and it's the end of the world, I'm not putting on makeup or anything like that. But if I need a mirror for something, if I actually really need a mirror, something happens to me, I got a cut on my face, something in my eye. Well, guess what? I don't have a mirror in my toiletries bag because they weigh a lot, but I've got one in my EDC kit, so I can use that. I just got a decent MSR plate, like cookware. Now I don't need to also buy a frying pan. It's only me, so if I'm out in the woods, worst case scenario here, if I'm out in the woods and I'm cooking over an open fire, I can fry it in the plate and then just eat off the plate. I don't need a frying pan and a plate. So I bought a plate, then I spent a couple of dollars on a pot gripper, It's multi-use, serves both things. Now I don't need to carry a frying pan and a plate. That's like a big deal. It's a lot of space. It's a lot of weight. Um, you know, so I really started, like I said, I really started focusing on Dave's thing. If it doesn't serve you at least three functions, don't don't pack it. Don't get it. There are exceptions. You'll figure them out, but it's a good rule of thumb to try and push yourself towards. Um, so we get into weight and usage of things. This is a big value judgment individually for you, based on your physicality, your age, what you can manage, what you can't manage, how used to it you are, etc. Um, but as a general rule, like if you can find a smaller item that fits the criteria for something that you need and packs lighter and packs smaller, get that one. There's whole websites you can. I mean, there's whole websites and categories on ultralight backpacking. It has nothing to do with prepping, but you can find a lot of good equipment there. I mean, there's so many people in sporting that are like mountaineering and backpacking and hiking and things like that that are literally like they literally weigh to like fractions of an ounce how much things weigh and purposefully do that. Like the people that are go through their clothing and they'll be like, "Oh, there's eight buttons on the front of this jacket, but I really only need five of them to hold it closed. So I'm gonna take three of them off and throw them away because the metal buttons weigh something." It's excessive, but the concepts are there. Find the smaller version, find the lighter version, but find the more durable version. Plastic is lighter than metal, but if plastic breaks in a week and metal lasts you for years, you'll make that concession of those 3 ounces that the metal is going to weigh over the plastic. Okay, um, combine that with the concepts of multi-use items. I.e., getting like a titanium cup over a plastic cup, things like that, and hopefully it will help serve your purposes. I mean, I see a lot of people buy stuff and they're like, "Oh, this is the best one on the market. It's cool. It's new. It's got the best ratings," and I'm like, that may be, but dude, look how much space that takes up in your pack, and how unimportant is that to your kit? Are you sure you want to do that? That's my personal view. Everybody's got to make their decision, but it just seems weird. Um, Disposable items. There are, I think, in my personal view, there are only so far that I found there are only three categories of items, or three items really, that are worth your time to carry, worth the weight to carry, worth the space in your pack to carry, that are disposable. Remember, I said I'm living for longevity. Everything that goes in that pack, that is all I'm ever going to have for the end of the world. I don't want to focus on disposable because I won't have it anymore. There's no point. Um, so, how dependent do you want to be on something that you cannot replenish? Keep that thought in your head every time you look at an item and think that, oh, this might be disposable. It might not be. Okay, so I'll just narrow it down. The three categories of things that are disposable, that are worth your time to pack and bring, worth my time to pack and bring. Food. Um, I believe in the concept, although I don't have the ability to. Bullets, ammunition for weapons, and toilet paper. Do not underestimate toilet paper. Seriously, there are a couple of videos out there on this. Um, it takes up so much. It doesn't weigh a lot, but it takes up so much goddamn space in a kit that you're gonna look at it and be like, I don't want. No, it's wasting so much. But it's toilet paper, dude. I mean, eventually it's gonna run out. You're not gonna have it. But what are you gonna do without it? Just think about it. Well, I'm not gonna start this discussion because I'm sure it could get pretty vulgar. But think about it, okay? Um, Bullets. I'm not gonna have the discussion. I'm making some points on weapons and self-defense in a little bit, but it's disposable. Eventually, you won't have them. We'll talk about that in a second. And food. Here's the things to consider. Uh, there are, as far as I'm concerned, there's 5 ways to get food in an end of days situation. Bring it with you. that's finite. It's limited. There's only so much you can carry. Hunt for food, learn the skills. That's more sustainable, more livable. Growing the food. If you're at a point where you've established a home and you have like land that's yours and you can grow on a seasonal basis, but that's very long term. Scavenging goes along with hunting, like hunter scavenger thing. Can be fruitful, but it's a lot of work. And the last is bartering. I mean, if you're in a system where there's still food there, you just don't have it, and you need to find a way to get it. There's a you can focus on bartering or just straight purchasing. Bringing food is finite. I have a food kit. I'll do a video on it sometime later, and it's designed purposely for the concept of like it's supposed to get me through this amount of time till I can get to a point where I know I need to convert to either a bartering system or a hunting system or a scavenging system. I've thought it through and figured out the usefulness of what I'm going to carry with me.